Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 141. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for Weekly Recap Newsletter 189. So just a quick summary on things that happened this past week in Star Atlas. There was an Atlas Brew where they went over a few updates related to the roadmap, a team visit, DAO updates, and things about Hall Summary Rewards. On Thursday, they had it's not secret now, but it was secret at the time, launch of Zinc, at least in a alpha test phase. And that was pretty much it for those past week. And sorry again for cough. I'm still coming off being sick with COVID the week before, so we'll see how my voice holds out. So I apologize in advance. Anyways, before I get to that, just a quick reminder of some of the Star Atlas projects I'm working on. Again, there's my website, intergalacticherald.com, which is a great Star Atlas resource website. I have guides to, beginners playing Star Atlas, directories, guilds, Star Atlas content creators, tools, and things like that. I have a number of different recaps, one this podcast you listen to, but also AI summaries of the Star Atlas community team events. And then you can sign up for an email blast when there are announcements within the Star Atlas Discord. Again, all that can be found at intergalacticherald.com. We'll see. Wow. Really coughing. I apologize. Also, my Star Atlas merch store is open for business, intergalacticgear.com. And not a lot of selection yet. Some mug and some wall art. You can also fill out a merch survey there. Also, I'm trying to get together a community of Star Atlas gamers who are not joining guilds. You can check that out at intergalacticcoalition.com. We'll get into things that happened this past week in Star Atlas. As I mentioned, the community... Oh boy, hopefully this will hold out. I'm sorry, I really do apologize. So this past week, the Atlas Brew occurred from the community team. It was a roundup of a whole bunch of things. They were being very coy about something that was coming, which of course, now that we know a few days later, it was the launch of the Zinc test season, which I'll get to in a second. But one thing they did mention was a roadmap update. They just wanted to mention the order. It's been very clear that they're no longer going to give dates on things, but definitely is nice to see, and it corresponds with things that put together over the past weeks and months. So the roadmap update, again, just the order of things coming, the Zinc dashboard, which we'll get into in a second because that was released. Then they mentioned they're going to work on some cleanup. Core, which again, I think is the graphic novel, so that's cool. Star Path, which I thought was the referral, but we'll see. I'm not really sure now. And then the Never Alone campaign for kind of long timers that finally get all our rewards and things like that. Then next up will be the next chapter of Holosim, followed by a UE5 patch and then C4. A couple other things that came up with the Atlas Brew. They did mention a visit to Switzerland, very vague on it other than potentially future deals, whatever that means. The DAO Council, a few members were there and they gave some updates like the upcoming election season. And then the final one is that they'll be releasing finally the Hall Summary Rewards for the last chapter that came out. So definitely a great community event, as they are each week. A lot of information there to pass on to the community. So on Thursday, they did have what at the time they were calling their secret launch. I guess secret only in the sense that nobody knew it was coming. I have to admit, I'm a little unclear on a bunch of things, even maybe just because I just listened to the video. But here's what I was able to glean from that video. And again, if you want to watch the entire town hall about that, please check out Star Atlas TV, who records pretty much all the events. So this is basically the alpha test season. And I guess hopefully there'll be some other things coming out. But basically, it sounds like for the next 6 weeks, they're basically testing it. But some of the things will move over, and this is where I was a little unclear because they were talking about level 20 and experience points that get you to level 20, but you may not get all the experience moving forward. Anyways, so I'm sure some of that details will come out later. But the key is this is to test the infrastructure and things like that. I guess there's some access codes. If you get in, then you get 5 codes you can give out to other people. Not exactly sure, again, how that works. I did join, I guess there is a new Discord for Zinc, so I did join that, and there was some channels in there, but it was kind of, everything was pretty sparse. They did show off the Zinc dashboard, and the different features there. There's a daily check-in. Assume you just click a button and that counts, because they were talking about a cumulative thing if you do it for 15 days in a row or something. So anyways, they also mentioned there is I'm not sure what they're calling it, multi-pass or something, that you can buy to gain like multipliers and things like that, and it had different pricing levels. Again, hopefully we'll get some more information about that. They also brought up the things that earn XP, but not a lot of them are working yet. But again, this is tests, so all that makes sense. And then they decided to go ahead and release that the official season, called Origin, I think, will be on the mainnet, and it'll be for about 3 months, 6 weeks from now, then 3 months. And then they talked about there'll be 4 more airdrop seasons. Anyways, lots of information, not exactly clear on how it works. And then at the end, they mentioned a couple things in passing that had been changes from passings. One was about validators for the Zinc network. At first, it sounded like they're going to be permissioned only, but now it's going to be permissionless, which sounds like then anyone can do it. So again, I'm sure we'll learn more about it in the future. And then they did mention that claim stakes will go on sale for C4. I was under the impression that none of this had anything to do with Zinc, but then they alluded to maybe it wouldn't. So anyways, I guess to summarize, Zinc is moving forward into an actual test phase, and that's great. So we're moving forward on that. So anyway, so that's pretty much the summary that I took away, at least from the Zinc event that occurred this past Thursday. Let's see. So moving on to the state of Star Atlas this past week. So it was very nice to hear officially, even if it's not for sure, but the order of things coming up. Nice always to just get any updates, even if they can't give us dates, or with the caveat that everything's subject to change. Still nice to see how everything fit together moving forward. So I think that was great. The Zinc Alpha launch, glad it's here. I was a little confused. Again, not 100% sure on the access codes. I didn't actually go to the website yet, so maybe there's more information there. But again, this was test. This was a secret. I can't really complain too much if it was a little vague. That's the whole purpose of this, is just to test things. I would assume for the actual launch, there'll be a lot clearer instructions and how you get in. And I would assume access codes aren't even required, because again, you would just sign up for it. And we'd probably learn a little bit more in a week once more information comes out. Overall, still just cool that it's there. Definitely interested in checking it out and things like that, so I'll have to figure out this access code and things like that. I guess if anybody's listening to this and want to send me an access code, if they have it, please do. Just go to intergalacticherald.com, or you can DM me on Discord or something like that. Everything is linked to Intergalactic Herald. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so it's new, so it's not a lot of a reaction. It just came out on Thursday. I'm just rewatching the video a day later. If you want a summary of that, I do have an AI recap that you can check out. If you're on this podcast feed, you already got that. But if for some reason you're reading this somewhere else, you can check out that on my YouTube channel or my podcast feed. And then the final section, kind of my journey playing Star Atlas. Basically, still not playing Star Atlas, but now that Zinc might be, I guess the biggest thing I'm very unclear on is how much of this test is transferable to the real system. Now, if some of it is, then kind of makes sense to do it now. But if none of it is, I don't know. It just, again, testing's great. I'm glad they're doing it, but I don't know, time and effort and paying Solana just for, I don't know. Maybe I'll hold off on that, but definitely maybe create the profile. Doesn't sound like that you're out anything for that. But anyways, as far as actual gameplay, I've been, again, taking a break from Sage, waiting for Zinc. Now Zinc may or may not be here, so I'll decide whether or not getting back into Sage or not. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Again, thanks for listening. Definitely open if anybody wants to be a guest on the podcast. Please reach out at intergalacticherald.com. Find my contact page. Love to have any talk about the week in review with anyone. Definitely open to promoting other content creators, Star Atlas builders, and anybody on the team that wants to talk about just general beginner topics. Love to have you on as a podcast guest. Again, please do check out my website, intergalacticherald.com. Great Star Atlas resource website with guides, directories, recaps, and my Discord news feed. If you're looking for a Star Atlas mug, please check out intergalacticgear.com, at least for U.S. purchases. Never expanded my store international yet. And then ultimately, I'd like to create a Star Atlas gamer community for gamers who are not joining guilds. Please check out Intergalactic Coalition for that. Other than that, that's the week in review of Star Atlas. Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Have a great week ahead.